Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've got the Dutch Grand Prix today, round number 15 of 22 of the Formula One season in 2022, and a lot to look forward to. We've got Max Verstappen leading the way at the front of the grid, with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz in second and third, and I suspect we're going to have a very tightly fought battle at the top. Well, with the top six drivers. Um, the Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull all looking very close on pace, and their strategy as well looks pretty similar as well. I'll get into that once we start talking about strategy. Hello, C. Paul, um, Bin Xylol, Ho Liang. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Tiffany, Godfred, Master for Life. Um, Lovely names that you've got there, guys. And yeah, right. So we'll start talking from the drivers at the bottom of the field. We have Nicholas Latifi in 20th position. Of course, he really did not have a good qualifying, and he's right at the bottom of the pack. He was quite a ways off Alex Albon, in fact, probably about 7 tenths, 8 tenths of a second, if I remember correctly. Um, so yeah, not ideal there for Nicholas Latifi. Let's see what, and then we've got Sebastian Vettel in 19th place, of course, my favorite driver. But he's not been doing that great. He had a mistake in mic is off. Is mic off? Like, hello? Can you hear me, or does it just keep cutting out? Because if it keeps cutting out, I can fix that. Sound is off. It says my mic's playing, so it's plugged in. Hello. It's not off. Right. Well, just let me know if you can hear me. Just in and out. Okay. Right. Well, I can fix that. So if the mic keeps cutting out, then I can fix that. Right. So we've got Vettel in 19th place. Yesterday in qualifying, he had a bit of he had a crash. Well, not a crash. He spun off the track, and that was because of the fact that earlier on his lap, someone else had kicked up some dust on the track. Vettel saw that dust, but then the car didn't react as expected, and that dust was the thing that took him off the racing line. And once you go off the racing line, there's marbles, there's not enough grip, and then he got adrift and went all over the gravel, and then of course lost his lap time. He actually had a purple first sector, so he was on his way to get through into Q2, but it was rather unfortunate there. The same could be said for Daniel Ricciardo in 17th position. He also had the dust kicked up. I don't know exactly who kicked the dust up, but the dust also affected Daniel Ricciardo. The car just didn't have enough grip in the final corner, and he lost a load of time there as well. We have Kevin Magnussen. He got out qualified by Mick Schumacher for the fourth time this season yesterday, and Valtteri Bottas in 16th position. Valtteri Bottas, in fact, had a 146 race streak of getting out of Q1 up until Spa last week. He didn't get through Q1 in Spa last week because of engine issues, and then this weekend didn't get through once again. So maybe it's now downwards for Valtteri Bottas. Of course, he enjoyed 3 years at a top team at Mercedes, but yeah, who knows what will happen to his career. Of course, he's mentoring Guan Yu Zhou effectively at Alfa Romeo, and Zhou's currently in 14th position. Zhou's doing a great job. He was very weak at qualifying at the start of the season. Of course, it was his first year in Formula One. He's still a rookie driver, and qualifying is one thing that is very difficult to get right because you've got to go all the way to the limit of the car. Usually when you're in a race pace, you go maybe 90% attack, 95% attack, because you don't want to wear those tires out too much. But yeah, not exactly sure how Zhou's going to play out in the race. We know Bottas really does have good racecraft. We'll see what the Alfa Romeos can do. And yeah, Vettel will climb through the field until he gets to the roadblock we call Alonso. Yeah, I mean, Alonso is definitely very good at defending. And of course, this circuit, very narrow indeed. I mean, the only overtaking opportunity that they do really have is at turn 1. That you could argue that they could make an overtake at turn 11, which would be great to see, by the way, because After turn 11, you got turn 12 and then the stadium section, and that just means a lot of side-by-side action, which is absolutely wonderful to see. So it'd be great to see some overtaking at turn 11. And yeah, well, we'll see. Hopefully on the opening lap, it doesn't go immediately single file. We get some side-by-side action going through the middle and last sector. And then we have the two Alpines in 12th and 13th position. They really didn't do that well yesterday in qualifying. We expected them to have a bit more pace, but I think it might be the race pace simulations that they are faster in compared to the qualifying simulation. So we'll wait and see what happens with the Alpines in terms of their race pace. Um, Hello, hola from Mexico. It's 7:30 a.m. too early. Yeah, um, definitely. Time zones are rather annoying when you want to watch F1 races. Just talk to some of the Australians in the chat. Yes, Sergio Perez in fifth position. In fact, Perez was on a great lap. He had like three purple mini sectors, and then the rest were green. And then he got to the final sector of the lap, and everything started going downhill. He got, I think, three yellow sectors, which means they weren't personal best. He wasn't going that fast. Um, and then he had that crash, of course. Well, it wasn't a crash. He sort of spun off, didn't damage much of the car, but of course ruined his lap, ruined everyone's lap behind him. And yeah, Sergio Perez didn't have the best qualifying, but he can definitely make up places. We know the Red Bull is a fast car. And in Sergio Perez's hands, race pace is absolutely tremendous. And yeah. All right. We've got 300 people watching, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. Definitely does help out the channel and would be very much appreciated. And yeah, let's get into. We're now 22 minutes away from the start of the race. There's quite a bit of strategy talk today because yesterday, well, not yesterday, last year in 2021, the top three drivers did at least two pit stops to get through. Well, the top two drivers did at least two pit stops, and everyone else below them only did one. So two pit stops is the favorable strategy. We've got it's most likely that we're going to get a two pit stop strategy. According to Pirelli, it's going to be soft, medium, medium, or then soft, medium, soft. This is mainly because of the fact that the hard tires, they're so because this circuit is sort of low speed. It's not low speed, but there aren't that many long corners. You really can't warm up those hard tires and get them into the working range, sort of. So the hard tires are around a second a lap slower compared to the soft tires, and yeah, that trade-off really isn't worth it when you're going across a race distance. So you're much better off to go for two sets of mediums rather than one set of hard tires. And Pirelli said that is the slowest strategy, starting on the softs and going on to the hards. But we definitely know that Sergio Perez, master of time management. I mean, that could be the card that Red Bull play. They could go, Sergio, you're going to start on the soft, go onto the hard, stay out for a really long time. And in the process of staying out really long, you're going to block Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, so Verstappen can stay and keep the lead, even if he doesn't have that much pace. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. And well, of course, we've got the Mercedes in the mix as well this weekend. They've really they've been able to sort of understand their car. Toto Wolff said it in an interview that they've finally understood how the car functions and like how to extract the maximum performance out of the car. And the same can be said for Lewis Hamilton. George Russell was still struggling. The balance wasn't there for him today. But that all changes when you add an extra 100 kilos of fuel at the rear of the car in the fuel tank. The balance changes. You get a different set of tires. You got dirty air. Everything changes from yesterday's qualifying to today's race. So we can definitely see George Russell maybe make up some places and also, of course, get his match Lewis Hamilton. Both drivers, in fact, till yesterday's race. Well, no, the qualifying head-to-head between Hamilton and Russell right now is 8-7. So, yeah, very, very close indeed between those two drivers. Also, Manzaz Surveys has just donated. Thank you so much for the donation. That is very much appreciated. Yeah, do appreciate well, all of the support from you guys, everyone that's hit the like button, and yeah. They right. The pinned comment is the pinned comment at the on the chat for winning F1 tickets, hotel, and flight is it's from today's stream sponsor, Imperium Experiences, and yeah. So basically, what Imperium Experiences is that you do a sort of raffle, and you basically what it is there's an image of a football, and you have to guess the football's been photoshopped out. You've got to guess where the football is, and if you guess correctly, then you win the tickets to the F1 race in Abu Dhabi this year. So that's that. When does the race start? Race starts in 18 minutes time, and yeah. All right. I will probably take you through a lap of Zandvoort. Um, Yeah. So let's go through then. A lap of Zandvoort. I could probably get my mouse to show up on screen as well. Okay. So this is this is Zandvoort, of course. It's got 14 corners, 4.2 kilometers long, and yeah, 72 laps of racing around here. That's one more lap than we race around Monaco. Um, and yeah, so going down the start finish straight, the DRS zone has been extended from last year, so overtaking wasn't the easiest thing to do yet during last year's race. Of course, we have the new regulations this year, so that should help out with the overtaking. But the DRS zone has been extended further close to the banking, and the drivers are getting through just fine. And we're going through into turn number one. It's a very harsh braking zone. You brake around about the 70-meter mark, and you basically want to you go from 320 kilometers an hour to probably 100. So you lose 200 kilometers of speed in about 50 seconds. On a 50 meters, sorry. Um, and the drivers, there's quite a steep banking around turn number one. So going side by side through there is definitely an opportunity that you can take and a risk you can take. But the thing is, there is a risk of going around the outside, and the risk is the driver on the inside can squeeze you out if they're the marginally ahead of you, of course. So we'll wait and see what happens there. And yeah, so that's turn number one, of course, and then going through turn number two. Turn number two has an uphill crest, so it's quite difficult to manage actually, because if you turn the steering wheel too sharply going through turn number two, then you will um then you're going to unsettle the car, because once you go uphill, the amount of grip that you have significantly reduces. So the drivers have to be extremely smooth around there. And then turn number three, and again, massive banking through there. And most of the drivers take a very, very wide line going through that corner. And that's probably the fastest line. And that's another thing that why the hard tires are so much slower compared to the soft tires, is because going through all of these bank corners, you need a lot of mechanical grip. And the softer tires you go, the more mechanical grip that you get, and that's why the hard tires are that much slower around this circuit. So going through turn number three, you've got going through turn number three, you can probably make another overtake there if you're still side by side going through turn number one and two. But then once you get to turn four, five, six, it is very much single file. Overtaking gets very tough because the track is so narrow. You can barely go too wide through that section of the track. And then turn number five, six, they're pretty much flat out, like a tiny lift maybe, depending on if you've got loads of fuel at the car. And then turn number seven, this is a blind corner here. And this is where you're going to see a very big speed difference between the drivers that have got used tires, or maybe they're conserving their tires, going through turn number 7, 8, 9, and 10. These four corners cause the most tire degradation around the entire circuit. So that's the middle sector. So if we look at the middle sector times, we can really work out which drivers are conserving their tires, which drivers are pushing. And we'll wait. And yeah, that'll probably give us some insight into the strategy that the teams are deciding to do. So turn number 7, blind crest. You got to just downshift, hold it in sixth, and try and stick as close to the apex as possible, because there isn't much banking. And if you go off the racing line, then the grip gets significantly reduced. Then onto turn number 8, it's once again, you got to brake in a straight line for that corner. Otherwise, you're going to start locking up, and it'll be, then you go straight into the gravel, which is not ideal, of course. And then turn number 9 and 10, they're pretty much just hairpins that go back on each other. And then you've got the second DRS zone on the circuit, and then turn 11. Turn 11, on the runoff of turn 11, they've got some new gravel, Now that doesn't seem particularly exciting, but usually when drivers go onto the gravel, their tires start like, well, what basically happens is all the gravel starts flying around, but they've somehow they haven't used glue here at Zandvoort, but what they've basically done is somehow glued the gravel to the ground, so it slows down the drivers, but it doesn't go all over the track. So you're not going to get any safety cars or yellow flags or anything because of the fact that there's gravel on the track. And also another thing, during last year's race, the last year was actually the inaugural race of the Zandvoort circuit in Formula One. We didn't get a safety car, and I don't think. Well, we could get a safety car this year, but last year we did not get a safety car. We'll see how that goes this year round. Um, and then through turn number 12, that's also got a slight bit of banking there. And then turn number 13 and 14, at the point once you reach turn number 14, your tires are extremely hot, especially your left front. So going through that corner, you just got to hit that apex. And then turn number 14's got a massive banking. So it's relatively straightforward to get through that corner. And then that is a lap of Zandvoort. Yeah. Does Ricardo have grid penalties? No, he just started that low down the field. So yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've got nearly 700 people watching. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. It definitely does help out the channel. And yeah, look forward to commentating to you guys. Now we've got 12 minutes left till the start of the Grand Prix. Top 10 finish for Seb. Yes, Seb. Well, if you think about it, the last time Seb started at the back of the field, like, well, he didn't voluntarily start at the back of the field, but it was Germany. Well, one of the times I remember Vettel starting at the back of the field was Germany 2019. He started in 20th position, made up a bunch of places at the start of the race, and then ended up coming second, which, well, I'd love to see him replicate that. But I suspect it's going to be pretty tough considering the drivers up at the front of the field. We got the Ferraris, Red Bulls, and Mercedes. Um, all of them with actually two sets of medium tires, two fresh sets of medium tires as well. So yeah, it's going to be very tough to actually outpace them because no one else actually has that many fresh sets of medium tires. I think Vettel has one used set and then one fresh set, but it's not looking great in terms of maybe Lando Norris or like Yuki Tsunoda getting a podium or something, because it looks pretty. The top six looks pretty fixed unless there's some crash or DNFs, which could definitely happen on such a narrow track. And yeah. All right, let's see if we have any team radio coming through. We are 11 minutes away from the start of the race now. Um, Let me know what your race predictions are in the chat. We'll make sure to read them, and if you've got any bold predictions, definitely do put them in as well. Would love to see what you guys think is going to happen today. Right, let's see if we've got any team radio. Nothing just as yet. Also, another thing to consider, turn number one from Max Verstappen's grid slot, which is first position, of course, pole position, going to turn number one, that is 215 meters distance. So it's really not that long from the grid position to turn number one. So you're going to have to get a very, very good start. Most drivers will, well, the drivers that are starting on the soft will have a massive benefit, but I think that starting on the softs, most drivers will be starting on the softs because that is the ideal tire. Yeah. All right, let's see. Max Sainz Russell, Leclerc P1, Max P2. Well, it was all definitely on the cards. I mean, I guess you could only say after lap number one, Latifi, Gasly, Alonso. I think that's pretty safe. I mean, that's probably the safest bet you could go with. Um, right. I have a feeling that Ferrari and Red Bull will crash, to be honest. Well, this is Max Verstappen's home race. I suspect he'll be pretty feisty about trying to win it. He won here last year, of course, and that'd actually be pretty cool to see well, him win his home race, and maybe he could keep a record where he's the only driver that's won at that circuit. Vettel has that record at the Indian Grand Prix. They raced in India in four times in Formula One, and Vettel won all of those races. So yeah, that would be very cool to see that. All right. Nearly 1,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Do very much appreciate all the support. Yeah. All right. So then 9 minutes now from the start of the race. Oh, we've got a quote from Charles Leclerc. Turn number one will be very, very important, but I think the pace in the car, Verstappen has a new set of softs which will be difficult for us. The target for us is to win. So it might Ferrari may not have a fresh set of soft tires. Let me just look through the tire allocations. So yeah, for Max Verstappen is the only driver in the top 10. Oh no, the only driver in the top 9 that has a fresh set of soft tires. Everyone else, if they are going to be on soft tires, they're going to have to start on a used set. Um, this is because if you remember yesterday in qualifying, Max Verstappen just started out. I think he did only one lap in Q1 and one lap in Q2, so he had a fresh set of softs, an extra fresh set of softs to use for today's race. And yeah, all right. So we'll wait and see how that goes because yeah, top eight, none of the top eight having a fresh set of softs. That is actually very interesting. Um, and then if we look at fresh sets of mediums, all of the Norris does not have a fresh set of mediums. Norris has yeah, Norris only has one set of fresh mediums, whereas everyone else has two sets in the top eight. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting how that goes for Lando Norris. Um, Yeah, he has no assistance. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo down in 17th position. It's going to be very tough for him to handle it out on his own. And getting up to that top six, I suspect he's going to be sat in a no man's land because Mick Schumacher, Yuki Tsunoda, Lance Stroll are very much slower than that McLaren car. But then the Red Bulls, Ferraris, and Mercedes are very much faster than Lando Norris in the McLaren. And yeah, we will have to wait and see how that plays out for him. 7 minutes now till the start of the race. And yeah. All right. Mm, just move that down a bit. There we go. So, oh, right. That's not exactly what I wanted to do. There we go. All right. So what I'll do is, yeah, I'll just tell you about our sponsor for today's stream. It is Imperium Experiences. If you haven't heard about them before, what it is it's a competition that you enter. So to win the competition, the rules are basically there is a image, and there on that image there's a person playing football, but the football of that the person's playing with has been photoshopped out the image, and you've got to guess where that football is depending on like looking at where the person's face is looking at or where his foot is pointing. Um, and if you guess correctly where that football is, then you end up winning tickets to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for this year. You get the F1 tickets, of course. You get a 4 night stay in a 5-star hotel, and then you also get £500 towards your flight to Abu Dhabi. Um, so yeah, if that is interesting to you guys, then make sure to go ahead and check out the link in the description or in the pinned comment. And yeah, I will just show you, in fact, how you can sign up for it. So this is the Imperium Experiences website. You join the competition basically. Currently, there've only been 100 tickets sold. This is where you pick where you think the football is. Then you carry on and you pay for your tickets. But I just want to let you know there's only been 100 tickets that have been sold of this competition so far. So even if you aren't the closest, even if you don't get the football exactly correct, the odds of you winning are extremely high compared to like a usual lottery or something where it's like 1 in a million. Um, the chances of you winning this are so much higher. So I suggest you check out the link, even if you aren't particularly interested. You'll just have a look around the website for sure, and maybe that will change your mind. So yeah, all right. So now we are 4 minutes away from the start of the race. The drivers will go on a formation lap, and then we will go racing after that. Um, all right. So let's see. We'll probably just go through the starting grid, in fact, right now. Oh, also, the other thing, when drivers drive through the pit lane, they lose 18 seconds of time. Now, if you look at the Zandvoort pit lane, it's actually surprisingly short. But the issue is that this pit lane speed limit is only 60 kilometers an hour. Usually, it's either 80 or 100. Oh, no, I think it might just be 80 kilometers an hour, but 60 kilometers an hour is extremely slow for a pit lane speed limit. And that's why the drivers lose 18 seconds going through the pit lane. And if there is a safety car, they only lose 12 seconds. But yeah, so that is something to watch out for when the drivers eventually do get to their pit stop phase. The gap between them would be around about 20 seconds for them to come out very close to each other on track after their pit stops have been completed. And yeah, all right. Got 1,500 people watching. If you guys could smash the like button and very much help out the channel, hoping to be the #1 commentary channel on YouTube, currently #2. Yeah, your likes and subscriptions would very much be appreciated. 3 minutes away from the start of the race now. So let's go through the starting grid. We've got Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc in first and second place. These two drivers have so much history between each other. They've been racing against each other from the karting days, in fact. And yeah, they've had battles through Formula 2, Formula 3, and we'll wait and see what comes of their battle today. Um, Going into turn number 1, then we've got Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton in third and fourth position. Both drivers not having the best of seasons so far. Both of them at least bouncing back from it. Hamilton's just bounced back. Carlos Sainz did it a few races ago. We'll wait and see what they can do and who can score that podium. It's going to be very tough indeed, a very tough fight because Sergio Perez and George Russell in fifth and sixth position will not be, will be chasing them down for the entirety of this race. It'll be very, very difficult indeed for the top four to pull away and build a significant gap. And yeah, all right. Next is Lando Norris and Mick Schumacher. Lando Norris in seventh position, bit in a bit of a no man's land. The Haas car is significantly slower, and the Mercedes cars are significantly faster. We'll wait and see what he does in today's race. And he's also not got the ideal tire allocation. He hasn't got 2 sets of medium tires to go for the rest of the race. So we'll wait and see what he can do in terms of strategy today. Then we have, Mick Schumacher had a great qualifying yesterday, got through into Q3, and yeah, can't see the top of the screen. I'm pretty sure it fits fine, as in like it's. There we go. I mean, that's the best I can do. There we go. Um. Anyway, right. And we have got Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll. Yuki Tsunoda in ninth position, Stroll in 10th. Both drivers not having a fresh set of soft tires to go. Oh no, both of these drivers have a fresh set of soft tires to go. Wait, let me just confirm that. Oh, okay, so it's Stroll that has a fresh set of soft tires. Tsunoda has a used set of tires. Everyone, in fact, from second to ninth position has a used set of soft tires for the start of the race here. Nobody has a fresh set of softs. So we'll wait and see if that helps. If that helps Lance Stroll or Max Verstappen pull away from the other drivers, because of course they have fresher tires from the start of the race. And then we've got Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon in 11th and 12th. These two drivers could end up being teammates next year because Alpine has not got a second driver just as yet. Of course, Gasly is on a prime candidate because he is a French driver. Of course, Alpine is a French team. But yeah, Gasly and Ocon don't have the best of history. We'll wait and see how that plays out on track. And we've got Fernando Alonso and Guan Yu Zhou in 13th and 14th position. And Alex Albon in 15th, Bottas in 16th, Daniel Ricciardo in 17th, Magnussen 18th, Vettel and Latifi in 19th and 20th to round out the grid. And this is it. 3 seconds now till the formation lap begins. There we go. Formation lap has begun. Let's hide that. And we are green flag racing. Right. Where's it gone? There we go. All right. So the drivers are now on the formation lap. Let's get their tire allocations up. We could probably find out what tires they are on. All right. So Lewis Hamilton starting on the mediums. Same for George Russell. Mick Schumacher and Lando Norris also on the mediums. And then we've got Albon and Magnussen on the mediums. Everyone else is on soft tires. And I'll just run you through who's on a used set of soft tires. So we've got uh, Leclerc and Sainz both on used sets of soft, 3 laps old. Then we've got Sergio Perez on a set of soft, and they're 5 laps old. Um, the soft tires can only do about 20 or so laps here before you start wearing them out too much. And yeah, so we'll have to see how. So we know Sergio Perez is very good at time management. We'll see how he goes for that. We've got Yuki Tsunoda starting on 3-lap-old softs, Gasly on 3-lap-old softs, and everyone else is on a fresh set of soft tires or a fresh set of mediums. All right. So there we go. We have 72 laps of racing around Zandvoort here. If you are enjoying the stream, make sure to hit the like button. If you could hit the subscribe button as well, that would very much help out the channel. Trying to hit 44,000 subscribers here. That would be very much appreciated. And yeah, thank you for all your support. And I hope you enjoy the commentary. So Max Verstappen now just coming out the final corner. Very steep banking here, just getting just doing some burnouts to make sure those rear tires are up to temperature. And then Charles Leclerc is following him very, very closely, getting all in his mirrors. I suspect Verstappen won't be feeling the pressure. But yeah, Leclerc trying to do as much as he can to put off, to distract Verstappen, make him feel some pressure, and maybe make him make a mistake on the start of the race. It's the pole position is on the left side of the grid. All of the drivers who are on every driver that has an odd starting position has more grip because they're on the clean side of the grid. Every driver that has an even starting position has less grip. So Verstappen has the benefit of fresher tires, starting probably 5 meters ahead of Leclerc and the clean side of the grid. We'll wait and see what will happen at the start of the race. Now, all of the drivers just coming up to their grid slots. Everyone on the start-finish straight now. So let's see. Here we go. All right. Magnussen, Vettel, and Latifi all left now. All of the drivers have now, got into their grid positions. Vettel and Latifi have just parked up. They have engaged their clutches, revving up their engines. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. Max Verstappen has a great start, gets all the way ahead of Charles Leclerc, and it's single file going through turn number 1. Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, then Hamilton, Perez. Norris makes up positions on Russell. Stroll's up 2 positions. Ocon's up 3. Great start for those drivers. And now going through the middle sector is very much single file. Nobody is battling anyone. In fact, Schumacher is now side by side with Esteban Ocon. He backs out of it because it's too risky to go side by side going through the middle sector. We got Tsunoda right on the back of Schumacher. But both drivers losing 2 positions at the start of this race. Vettel's up 1 position. Bottas has a horrible start, loses 3 positions. And Magnussen's, in fact, gained 3, even though he was on the medium tires. That has been the first 2 sectors of the race. And Max Verstappen has already extended his lead at the front to 0.8 of a second. Right, so let's see what the Ferraris can do. Leclerc is very much trying to keep him honest here. We can see Leclerc actually pushing, going all over the curbs, and the curbs are rather dangerous. So the Ferrari driver is pushing extremely hard to keep Verstappen within DRS range. DRS will be enabled in 2 more laps. But for now, Verstappen and Leclerc going through turn number 1 as we speak. All right. So let's see now. Going through, we've got there is, in fact, Tsunoda is actually caught. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. Why have we got a yellow flag? It is Kevin Magnussen has spun. Back to green flag though. There's no one else has been hit. Kevin Magnussen spun going through turn number 2. Of course, I talked about this before. Going through turn number 2, you lose a lot of grip because you're going uphill. So Magnussen has spun out. He had a great start, in fact. Gained 3 positions, but now he's all the way down in 20th place. It shouldn't be too bad. He could get up to 20th. He could get up to the back of Latifi in a couple of laps. But yeah, not great start there for Kevin Magnussen. All right, Max Verstappen holding the fastest first sector, but Leclerc is pretty much right behind him in terms of pace. 0.8 is the gap once again, and the slipstream will be helping Leclerc going down the straight now. Let's have a quick look at the top speeds that everyone is hitting, and we'll wait and see who's going to have the advantage making overtakes that going down the straight. All right. Everyone, in fact, in the 290 kilometers around about that ballpark. So no one has a massive speed advantage, except, of course, the only person that has a disadvantage is Max Verstappen because he doesn't have a slipstream off any other driver. And yeah, all right. So here we go then. Max Verstappen with the fastest lap of the race, so 1 minute 16.2. And Charles Leclerc has fell out of DRS range. This is the most critical lap. He's got to stay within DRS range. Otherwise, Verstappen, by the looks of it, is going to run away with the rest of this race. So we'll have to wait and see what Charles Leclerc can do. This is it now. Going down the straight now, between turn number 10 and 11. The gap has been extended. Going through that middle sector, Verstappen has 3-lap pressure soft tires, and that's really helping him out through the middle sector. He just had so much more pace going through turns number 7, 8, 9, and 10. He's extended that gap to 1.5 seconds, and he is out of DRS range from Charles Leclerc. He's no longer under threat. So that should be Verstappen safe for the next probably 10, 15 laps at max. And then the Ferrari strategy will come in to save the day, of course. And yeah, we'll wait and see how that goes for him. Russell, in fact, going side by side with Norris through turn number 1. Russell gets through nicely. Norris, though, not backing down, going through turn number 2 and 3, chasing him down. Turn number 3, there's only one line that you can take, and Russell got there first. So Lando Norris had to settle for 7th position. We got another yellow flag here. What is that? Okay, right. Well, that yellow flag has been quickly changed back to a green flag. No need to worry. And yeah. Okay, so that has been the opening laps of the Zandvoort Grand Prix. We've got Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, and Hamilton holding the top 4 as it was before. In fact, the top 6 remains exactly as it was from the starting grid. Same for Lando Norris. Only the drivers from 8th position and below have actually switched positions. And yeah. All right. Leclerc, though, not giving up. He's got a fastest first sector, going 2/10 quicker than Verstappen through there. And he will be looking to chase him down. Carlos Sainz, in fact, not being able to keep up with Leclerc. And now Hamilton is applying some pressure, going down the straight. Hamilton's got DRS and is, well, right on the heels of Carlos Sainz. And we'll wait and see how that defense goes. Of course, Sainz has got soft tires. So that's going to benefit him through the twisty parts of the track. And Hamilton's got the medium, so he's technically slower on pace. But we don't know in terms of, well, what Hamilton can do on those medium tires, because we haven't seen him actually drive around on mediums in any of the practice sessions or even in qualifying. So the first time they're out on medium tires. All right. So now, going on to lap number 6, well, approaching lap number 6 as Verstappen comes out the final corner. Leclerc very much putting the pressure and 1.2 seconds away from Max Verstappen now. We'll see what Verstappen responds, and I will, in fact, check if we've got some team radio coming through. Let's have a look if we've got any more team radio coming through from the drivers. But yeah, Kevin Magnussen spun, and that is why he's down in 20th position. We've got some team radio from Max Verstappen, the race leader. Let's have a listen.
Just make sure you're bringing the tyres in nicely. We know that others do the same.
Right, yeah, so Max Verstappen, basically, with these new tyres that we've got for this year, because they're 18-inch rims, the way that Pirelli have constructed the tyres means you can't go flat out attack, and you've got to go a bit more carefully. So the tires don't wear out later out in the stint. And in fact, it looks like Verstappen made a bit of a mistake. He lost 3/10 through 2 corners, and Leclerc is within DRS range. Going through turn number 10 and 11, he's actually got the DRS. He was within range at DRS on the DRS activation point. So here comes Charles Leclerc now through turn number 11, 12, gets through very nicely. And the dirty air, not as significant as it was last year. But nevertheless, it's still affecting him. Going through the banking especially actually reduces the effects of dirty air. And Leclerc now on the tail of Max Verstappen. We'll see what he can do. We've also got some team radio from Daniel Ricciardo. Let's have a listen to him.
There's gravel on track, apex turn 3. Gravel, apex turn 3.
Yeah, gravel at turn number 3. That's where Kevin Magnussen spun. So that's why there is gravel on that part of the track. Charles Leclerc sets a fastest lap of the race, but the gap now between Verstappen and Leclerc, 1.2 seconds. So Verstappen immediately picked up the pace and got out of that DRS range. Otherwise, it could have been a race ending. Well, not race ending, but the chance of him winning the race would have gone significantly down. We've got some team radio from Carlos Sainz as well. Let's have a listen. Yeah, I suspect Sainz just drove over a bit of gravel and then just wanted to confirm that his tires are all right. Otherwise, a puncture, well, very much has a bad impact on your race. All right, we've got some more team radio from Daniel Ricciardo. Let's have a listen to this. The Aussie down in 16th position, 9 positions lower than his teammate. That is not great. And look at this. In fact, the gap that Verstappen and Leclerc have pulled is absolutely enormous. And Hamilton now putting loads of pressure on the back of Carlos Sainz. It is in fact the closest that he's been coming out the final corner. So he's got the DRS. We'll listen to Ricciardo's radio later. But now Hamilton comes out the final corner down the straight. He's 5 tenths away, 3 tenths away from Carlos Sainz, but he's not close enough to make an overtake into turn number 1. Maybe next lap. But the tires will start to overheat and the battery will start to run out of charge. But the Mercedes are definitely looking very, very good indeed. Their performance compared to Spa is miles better. It's like it's a completely different car, to be honest. But yeah, they've really figured something out there at the Mercedes team, and they're doing a great job delivering some performance with it. We've got Daniel Ricciardo, team radio. Let's have a listen to this.
Schumacher in P10.
Yeah, so Daniel Ricciardo just asking about how big the pack is that he's in, and it's it's from Mick Schumacher, who's in 10th position, going all the way down to Vettel in 17th. So yeah, DRS train, choo choo, from 10th to 17th position. And yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to make an overtake, especially around this circuit, where the only real overtaking opportunity is turn number 1. Also, just do have to mention today's stream sponsor, Imperium Experiences. It is a competition where you can win tickets to the 2022 Formula 1 Grand Prix for Abu Dhabi. And currently only 100 people have entered the competition. And so if you end up winning, well, the odds of you ending up winning are significantly higher. So I suggest you do check out the link in the pinned comment or in the description. That would be absolutely wonderful. All right, let's get back. Oh, also, guys, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. If you're enjoying the commentary, it would very much help out the channel. And yeah, we're on 340 likes right now. If we could hit 500, 600, that would be great. Okay, back to the race now. We are on lap number 9. This is, this was now halfway through the stint for most drivers here. And the tires are looking pretty good for the soft tire runners. The medium tires aren't catching up that much. Sainz is able to hold off Hamilton. Perez is able to hold off Russell. And Ocon is able to hold up Schumacher. So yeah, the medium tires still not looking faster than the soft, but I suspect it'll only be 5 or 6 more laps before the medium tires pace comes to match and get faster than the softs. Hello, Kiez. Nice to see that you're back on the stream. Yeah. Oh yeah, Kevin Magnussen is on the back of on Nicholas Latifi now. He's on the medium tires. Nicholas Latifi on the softs. We'll wait and see what can happen there. So now Magnussen's basically pushing Latifi through the final couple of corners. He will have DRS going down the straight. The Haas has a slightly worse top speed compared to Nicholas Latifi in the Williams. The Williams has so much top speed, especially if you remember back to Spa, where they had the highest speed traps. Vettel comes into the pits rather early. He's only done 9 laps on the soft tires. Don't know exactly what's going on there. We'll have to wait and see. We'll also see what tires he comes out on. Leclerc needs to come in before Verstappen due to the tires. Yeah, Leclerc started on a used set, Verstappen started on a fresh set, so Leclerc will probably come in earlier, and hopefully the undercut will help him out. And yeah, all right, Alonso overtakes Pierre Gasly going through into turn number one, I think. I haven't got a replay of it just yet, but Alonso in 12th position, Gasly in 13th. Vettel comes out on a medium set of tyres. I'll try and find out why Vettel is pit so early. But yeah, not sure just as yet. Um, Hamilton continuously applying pressure against Carlos Sainz. Coming out of the final corner, he's always 8/10 of a second behind Carlos Sainz. But 8/10 of a second is not close enough, especially considering the massive top speed advantage the massive top speed advantage that the DRS gives you. You would expect it to be enough of a gap, but the straight really isn't that long. So Hamilton is going to have to get closer than 8/10 if he wants to challenge Carlos Sainz. And Carlos Sainz, in fact, is doing a great job going through the middle sector. He's always slower than Lewis Hamilton. So that means by the time he gets to the final bit of the lap, well, because in the middle sector you can't overtake, it doesn't matter if you're going slower or faster. And then at the final bit of the lap, the Sainz has a lot more tire life and his tires aren't overheating, so he can successfully defend against Lewis Hamilton. And yeah. All right. Kevin Magnussen overtakes Nicholas Latifi, in fact, going through into turn number one. I think he did it. Latifi tried to challenge him through turn number three, but of course, there's only one line through turn number three, and Magnussen had that line. Yeah. All right, now we are 11 laps into this race, and we've got Charles Leclerc holds the fastest lap of the race, so the Ferrari definitely does have some outright pace on this circuit, but Leclerc not being able to close the gap, and I think his tires have started to go off a bit. His battery's also run out, and the gap that was previously 1.2 is now, it's hovering at 2.0 seconds. But all of the drivers, if you look at the timing sheet, the only driver that set a personal best lap time on the previous lap was Fernando Alonso, and that's only because he overtook Pierre Gasly. Yeah, he's just crossed the line now. Let's have a look. Nobody is setting personal best lap times. Is just everyone's just conserving their tires really because going through this pit lane, it's so slow. 60 kilometers an hour means the time for a pit stop is absolutely enormous. So you're much better off conserving your tires rather than going for some ridiculous three-stop strategy. We've got Gasly and Ricciardo both pitting on this lap, so the soft tires wearing out a lot faster than usual. I mean, this is to be expected, really, because when the teams do their simulations in practice, they only put about 50 liters of fuel or so in the car. They don't put the full 100 liters that they have right now in the car. So once you have that extra 50 kilos of fuel, all of that mass is moving around. It's putting load onto those tires. And causes them to wear out a lot faster. So, yeah, there we go. Vettel also got the undercut on Daniel Ricciardo, so he comes out ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, getting a 3-lap undercut. So, nice job there from the Aston Martin strategists. Yeah. How long does a pit stop take? Pit stop takes 20 seconds. So like going through into the pit lane, getting your tires changed, and then coming back out again. All of that takes 20 seconds. When usually on most of the circuits, it's around about 18 so around about 18 seconds. So that 2 extra seconds, gaining that up in race time around a circuit where you can't overtake gets very tough indeed. It's very similar to Monaco in the kind of strategy that you've got to play because overtaking is very tough here. The only overtakes that we've really seen is Russell re-overtaking Norris at the start of the race, Alonso overtaking Gasly, and Magnussen overtaking Nicholas Latifi. So yeah, not that much action going on at this circuit so far. Alonso and Zhou have both pitted, and yeah, so we've now had 5 drivers pit. Zhou comes out on another set of soft tires, and Alonso comes out on another set of hard tires. All right, so split strategies there. Also, something to consider: the teams will be looking at Fernando Alonso's lap times and sector times to see how those hard tires are working. Because if the hard tires are working, Sergio Perez and the drivers that are good at tire management, like Lewis Hamilton, like Max Verstappen, can probably extend this out to just a one-stop race. And with this long pit stop that you have at this Zandvoort circuit, it might be the better strategy if those hard tires can go all the way to the end. So there we go. Fernando Alonso setting a green middle sectors on those fresh hard tires, which haven't even warmed up yet. That is a good sign. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda both pitting on this lap. So now we've got 7 drivers that have pit so far. And yeah. Okay. Um, so now we are 14 laps into the race, and around about well, in the next 6 or 7 laps, we'll probably see the front runners pit as well. Um, yeah. Also, I'd just like to point out now the gap between Verstappen and Leclerc is 3 seconds, and it's not like Leclerc is backing off. He is genuinely pushing extremely hard to try and keep up with Verstappen, but Verstappen just has so much more pace. He has an extra 3 laps fresher tires, but yeah, that's really not helping him that much. Well, no, that's really helping him a lot, in fact. And Leclerc can't do much about that. Sainz comes into the pits, so does Sergio Perez. The two front runners, well, 2 of the 6 front runners have come into the pits. Both Mercedes are on medium tires, so they're going to be going out longer and staying out longer. We'll wait and see. Perez and Sainz both come out in relatively free air. Sainz actually had a slow pit stop. Sainz was ahead of Perez and he comes out behind him. So Ferrari making a bit of a hash of a pit stop, and they've now lost positions and lost a roundabout as well. Let him come out the pit lane and I'll tell you how much time they lost. But yeah, their pit stop was ridiculously slow, to be honest. And yeah, Sainz losing out a lot of time. Right, yeah, so the gap between Perez and Sainz is 5 seconds. So I think they lost like 10 seconds minimum in the pit stops. So can we get a F in the chat for the Ferrari pit crew? And look at this, George Russell, purple first sector, and Hamilton with the personal best, and same for Lando Norris. So all of these medium tire runners now setting personal best lap times, and we'll wait and see if that continues for the next couple of laps as well. Also, guys, if you could hit that like button, that would be very much appreciated. Definitely does help out the channel, and yeah, appreciate your support very much. All right, let's get back to the race now. Lap number 16 of 72. Um, Yeah, right. There's not that much action going on. Nobody's coming to the pits just as yet. But Carlos Sainz losing out significantly due to his pit stop, and that's basically put him out of the fight of the podium. And Hamilton, who he was trying to undercut and stay ahead of, is definitely going to get that third place position unless George Russell has something that he can do about it. The gap between the two Mercedes drivers is 3 seconds, and we'll wait and see if that will close up anymore. Also, another thing, Leclerc's pace is, well, dropping off every single lap now. He's done 18 laps on those soft tires. Pirelli said you could probably do a maximum of 20 before they start really slowing down and causing you to lose a lot of lap time. So Leclerc's got to that point. We'll see when Ferrari can come into the pits, and hopefully they don't make a mess of Charles Leclerc's pit stops either. Yeah. All right. Also, just got to mention this stream's sponsor, Imperium Experiences. If you do want to win tickets to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix um, through a competition where only 100 people have entered, so the odds of you winning 1 in 100, um, go ahead and check out the link in the pinned comment or in the description, whichever one you prefer. And we've got Stroll and Bottas pitting on this lap now. So yeah, most drivers have actually come into this. More than half the grid have come into the pits now. We're waiting. None of the medium tire. Oh, actually, Schumacher came into the pits and he was a medium tire runner, and so is Kevin Magnussen. So both of the medium tire runners also coming in. So maybe the tire wear is a lot higher than anticipated. The track temperature is 33 degrees, air temperature 22 degrees, and that, I mean, it was warmer temperature than this yesterday in quali. So I don't see why they are getting higher than expected tire wear. But who knows really? Formula One cars are extremely complicated, so nobody really knows. It is completely dry. The wind is not, well, it's kind of just a mild wind. It's not particularly fast, not particularly slow. But none of the drivers are really getting affected by the wind too much. We've got Charles Leclerc coming into the pits. Now he comes out and we'll wait and see where he goes. Lando Norris as well coming into the pit on this lap. He's done 16 laps on medium tires and for some reason is coming into the pits. Very strange indeed. We'll have a listen to some team radios to maybe see if we can work out why. We've got some radio from Lewis Hamilton now. He's done 17 laps on those mediums. We'll have a listen to what he has to say.
So we've got Leclerc 6 seconds ahead, 17.1. Verstappen 16.5.
Okay, well, that was just a lap time update. We've got some radio from Max Verstappen. Let's have a listen.
Leclerc last lap, 16.9.
Yep. So, well, when you listen to the team radios and all they're communicating is just lap times, that basically means conserve your tires as much as possible and just hit this lap time so the driver behind you doesn't catch up. So, yeah, that's basically what we're playing, the conservation game here. There's not that many green sectors, as you can see, because green is personal best, of course, and drivers are not doing great. How does Leclerc have 20 laps soft on the 18 lap? He used an old set of soft tires. He did 3 laps in qualifying on those soft tires and then put them on at the start of the race. That's what happened there. Max Verstappen coming into the pits, Leclerc with a purple middle sector. So that undercut is going to help him out. The gap was 4.2 seconds, so it's not going to close it up that much. But we'll have to wait and see. Verstappen, of course, got a fresh set of mediums. Those tires will be cold, so Leclerc has the advantage for maybe a lap or two. We'll wait and see what he can do with that advantage. Ocon also comes into the pits now. And yeah, nearly everyone has completed their pit stops except for Alex Albon on the mediums, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell on the mediums as well. All right. Let's see. Have we got any more team radio? We've got some team radio from Lance Stroll. This came through quite a while ago, so let's have a listen what it is.
Keep pushing, stay out, keep pushing.
Yeah. So this was before Lance Stroll pitted. So what they're basically trying to extract as much tire life as possible before they come into the pits. Otherwise, well, you're just wasting time and losing time for no reason. And yeah. All right, guys. Also, if you could hit the like button, that would be very much appreciated. We've just hit 500 likes. If we could hit maybe 600, that would be wonderful. We've got 6,000 people watching, so I'm sure we could do that. And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Very much do appreciate all of the support. And yeah, right, we're on lap number 20 of 72 of the Dutch Grand Prix. And we've only got 3 drivers yet to pit. Sergio Perez with a purple with a fastest lap. Yeah, really messing that up. Fastest lap there from Sergio Perez. Done a great job there with those medium tires. He's got them into the working range, done 5 laps of warm-up procedures, I guess, and then has really gone to pick up the pace. In fact, he's going 0.6 a lap quicker compared to Lewis Hamilton. So when Hamilton does inevitably pit, Sergio Perez will have closed up the gap that was there previously before the pit stop. So there we go. How long can they drive on mediums? Pirelli said you could do around about 30 laps. 30 laps is like a maximum. Most likely you're going to do 25 laps on the medium tires. Let's just have a quick look again what Pirelli said. Right, let me just find it. Pirelli said you could do, Pirelli said you could do 45 laps, 43 laps on the medium tires, but that is if you go like drive really slowly and don't wear your tires out. So if we're looking at most of the pace that these guys are doing, they'll probably be able to stretch it 30 or so laps. And that's how they'll get to the end of the race. Yeah, because most drivers they are pitted around about lap number 10 to 12 at that mark. So then they've only got 60 laps remaining of the end of the race. So they can do 30 laps on one set of mediums, 30 laps on the second set of mediums, and that's their race completed. Max has now set a fastest lap, going 0.2 faster than his teammate. And yeah, Verstappen holds that fastest lap of the race, and he is only actually 5 seconds behind George Russell, and he's actually done an extra pit stop. Also, the gap between Hamilton and Russell is extended by 0.3 of a second, but Russell very much being able to match Lewis Hamilton's pace going through the last couple of laps on this stint. All right. Let's have a look further down the field. We have got Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, and Guan Yu Zhou battling for 12th position. It's a 3-way fight for 12th position. Norris right on the back of Alex Albon. Norris on 3-lap-old hard tires and Albon on 20-lap-old medium tires. We'll wait and see what can happen there. Also, I think Lando Norris he won't go to the end of the race on those hard tires. I mean, doing 50 laps on hard tires is going to be extremely hard. So I think he's going to do another pit stop at the end of the race and go on to soft tires. But Alex Albon comes into the pits. So the only two drivers yet to pit are Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. And yeah. Okay. All right. Um, so this is it then. Um, Verstappen getting closer and closer, in fact, to George Russell, but yeah, not that much happening. And Science is actually falling off the pace. He had that really slow pit stop, and then on top of that, his pace compared to Sergio Perez is slightly lacking. He was nearly a full second slower on the previous lap, and they have the same tires. They've had the same 7 lap old medium tires, and yeah, Carlos Sainz's pace is lacking this race, and yeah. So far, no DNFs. Yes. Well, I guess this might commentators curse it or jinx it or something. But I think there's only been like 15 races in the history of Formula One where there hasn't been a single DNF. This could be one of those races. Also, another thing to point out, if you look at the map now, all of the drivers pretty spread out. And on last year's race, there were only 3 drivers that didn't get lapped on the entire thing. Max Verstappen lapped the entire field except for the top 3. So yeah, the pace disparity last year was pretty big. We'll wait and see what it plays out to be this year. Currently, we're reaching lap number 23, 24. And Verstappen and Hamilton, who's currently in the lead of this race, is one full straight away. Well, like, yeah, one full straight start finish straight away from Nicholas Latifi. So we could see, well, it'll be pretty difficult to lap the entire field when the top 6 are so close together. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what kind of what the distribution is of pace between the field. Because of course last year we had the Red Bulls and the Mercedes, which were so quick. But then this year, of course, the new regulations, we'll see how that brings us, if that brings the teams closer or further apart. And yeah, all right, we're settling in now into the second stint. The Mercedes drivers still going extremely long on those medium tires. Maybe they're trying to pull off a one stop because they know they haven't got the outright pace to go and win the race. They're going to try and do a single stop, go very long on the mediums for about 30 laps, which is probably the longest that Pirelli expects you to do, and then go 40 laps or 42 laps on the hard tires, and then end up with 18 less seconds in the pit lane compared to all the other drivers. But yeah, let's have a listen to Lewis Hamilton's team radio, and then we've got a comment from Mattia Binotto on Carlos Sainz's pit stop, which was absolutely horrific, by the way. So let's listen to Hamilton's radio, and then we'll talk about the pit stop.
Okay, copy. So main loss actually turn 11. You pull the brake back a little bit, maybe better mid-corner speed.
Yeah, so Hamilton just coming over the radio, seeing where he's losing time to the other drivers. And yeah, braking too late at turn number 11. I mean, you would think braking later would mean you're faster. But what he's doing is, oh no, what Hamilton's doing is braking too much, in fact. The car has the downforce to go through that corner at a higher speed. So just coming off the brakes slightly earlier, and then carrying a bit more minimum speed there for Lewis Hamilton. All right. So we've got a quote from Mattia Binotto. Let's have a listen. A mess. This is what happened. A mess. Very last corner. The mechanics were not ready. We'll review it after the race. I think that was expected on Verstappen pulling away. We knew Max was on new tires. We were on worn tires. I think Charles was pretty fast at the start of the race. Charles needs to manage the mediums because we know there is Lewis behind. Okay, so that second bit was about Charles trying to win the race and being behind Verstappen. But basically, the pit stops, the mechanics weren't ready for Carlos Sainz coming to the pits, and I'm pretty sure it was a planned pit stop. It wasn't Carlos Sainz like, oh my god, I need to come into the pits right now. I've got a puncture. It was like, okay, plan A is we're going to pit on lap number 12 or whatever, and the mechanics have to be ready for a pit stop, and the mechanics just weren't ready. So yeah, Ferrari just doing Ferrari things, And I'm expecting on Formula Dank for there to be like a picture of Ferrari just being clowns because I guess that's what they did once again. All right. 25 laps and still going strong on those medium tires. The pace that they're holding is actually very good. They're only 5/10 of a second slower than Max Verstappen, and Verstappen's tires are 18 laps newer. So, yeah, doing a great job there for um, the Mercedes team. We know Lewis Hamilton is great at tire management. George Russell, in fact, matching Lewis Hamilton's tire management. The gap has been hovering around 3.5 seconds for the previous 10 or so laps now. And yeah, George Russell doing a great job indeed. And yeah, all right. We've got some team radio from Lando Norris and from Max Verstappen. So let's just talk about Lando Norris a bit. He's in 7th position, bit of a no man's land. He's faster than Stroll, slower than Sainz. I mean, in fact, Sainz's pace is slightly dropping off. Well, he's actually picked up the pace on the previous 2 laps, but yeah, he's under threat. Sainz is under threat from Norris, but Norris really just managing his tires now. Let's see what his radio is.
And Lando, the car behind Stroll, 4 seconds is Alonso. He's on a hard tyre. He stopped on lap 12.
Yep. So I think what they're doing is just communicating what the other drivers are doing and what their strategy is. Alonso, especially doing a great job. They were down in Alonso and Ocon. In fact, they were down in 13th and 14th at the start of the race, and their well, the race pace of the Alpine is great, and they've gone from 13th up to 9th now. So that's good for the Alpine drivers. Now they're into the points. Mick Schumacher didn't have, well, he had a great qualifying yesterday, starting up in 8th position, but now he's dropped 6 positions, and yeah, the Haas doesn't have the kind of pace that you need to go till the end of the race. Oh, well, no, doesn't have the kind of race pace that you need to stay in the top 10. We've got some radio from Max Verstappen, who's just set a fastest lap of the race, in fact, so let's have a listen to this.
Okay, start to eke up on Russell.
So yeah, they basically said start to catch up on Russell, and that is exactly what Max Verstappen did. Going down the start-finish straight, he goes around the outside of George Russell. What a move. Russell decides not to fight it. Of course, there's no point fighting it. You're just going to lose more and more time, and Russell will do his best to try and actually stay on the back of Verstappen, maybe get a bit of a DRS tow, and maybe catch up to Hamilton to slingshot him towards Hamilton. And yeah, all right. We have some more team radio. In fact, lovely. We've got loads of team radio today. We've got some radio from Russell. Let's see what Russell's radio is.
So this is looking good. Lewis 16.7, Verstappen 16.0.
Yep, Verstappen 16.0 now. Verstappen 15.7. And the gap to Hamilton is reducing significantly as well. We'll wait and see what will happen there. Yeah. 2 seconds faster than Lewis, pretty much. Well, no, 1.25 seconds. But yeah, nevertheless, the pace difference is absolutely enormous. Daniel Ricciardo comes into the pits, I think, for the second time now. He's done 15 laps on those medium tires and still has done another pit stop. I mean, if you carry on doing 15 lap stints, then that's going to be a lot of pit stops towards the end of the race, unless he's put on the hard tires, which he has, in fact. And Ricciardo and Latifi, first 2 drivers to have been lapped. And yeah. All right. Verstappen's pace is slightly stabilized. It looks like he went for one very hard push lap to catch up to Russell and overtake him. But there's no need for him to wear out his tires too far or too much just as yet. And we'll wait and see what happens there. All right. Okay, we are on lap number 29. Well, coming on to lap number 30 now of 72. Let's see what is going on further down the field. We've got Joe still on the back of Pierre Gasly as he was a couple of laps ago, but still not being able to make any inroads, even though he is on those softer and faster tires. We got Verstappen Hamilton into the pits now, and Verstappen is now in the lead of this race. They're prioritizing Lewis Hamilton, which is to be expected because he was, of course, the leader. Um, and Perez just gets ahead of Lewis Hamilton, going as he comes out of the pit. So Perez got that advantage through the pit stops, had the undercut. Of course, now his tires are 14 laps older compared to Hamilton's, but we'll see if he can hold on to that advantage. I mean, defending around this circuit's pretty easy. Just stay on the inside at turn number 1, brake deep, and squeeze the other driver out, and it should be. And don't make any mistakes anywhere else, and you can pretty much keep the other driver behind you. And we'll wait and see what happens there from Sergio Perez. He's currently in 4th position and not looking, he doesn't have the sort of pace to catch up to Charles Leclerc. But yeah, hovering very nicely in 4th place to see what will happen there. Currently the standings are Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari. Of course, Russell is still yet to pit. I think he'll come in on this lap or maybe the next. Yeah, he comes in on the next lap. He doesn't come in this lap. Probably just to give the mechanics a bit of time because the lap is so short. It's 1 minute 17. You got to take all of Lewis Hamilton's tires into the garage and get Russell's tires out. You don't want to mix any of that up. Otherwise, you can end up with a very costly pit stop indeed. Carlos Sainz would definitely know. And yeah. All right, we've got some team radio from Daniel Ricciardo. He's in 19th position. Let's have a listen. Maybe this will explain his early pit stop.
Okay, box to overtake Vettel. Box to overtake Vettel. Understood.
Okay, so they're box overtaking Vettel. So that was the logic behind doing that. Just coming in for an early pit stop, setting faster lap times, which he is doing, in fact, going 5/10 quicker than Seb Vettel down through all of the through the course of a lap. Oh my god. Yeah, completely forgot what I was actually saying. And yeah, so that should probably work there for Daniel Ricciardo, and we'll wait and see what else will happen in terms of strategy for him. All right, Hamilton setting purple middle sectors on a fresh set of hard tires. Very interesting indeed. Russell comes into the pits now. We'll wait and see where Russell comes out. I suspect he's going to be behind Lewis Hamilton, of course. He's started out behind him. He will end up behind him as well. And yeah, so the top 6 for now, after everyone has completed their first set of pit stops, is Verstappen, then Leclerc, then Perez, Hamilton, Russell, and Sainz. Now, one thing to consider, Mercedes have gone for the medium to hard strategy, and they are going to probably do a one-stop race by the looks of it. The other drivers, of course, still got to do an extra pit stop. So, yeah, very interesting indeed. We'll see if Verstappen pits right now, or yeah, if Verstappen pits right now, he will come in just behind Lewis Hamilton. So it'll be pretty easy for Verstappen to overtake Hamilton after his pit stop. But the real concern is Charles Leclerc. Is he going to secure that second place after he comes out of the pits? Because once he does come out of the pits, he will come out just behind George Russell or just in front of him. Then have to chase down Lewis Hamilton, and then after chasing down Lewis Hamilton on a used set of tires, he's going to have to overtake him, and that's probably going to be the toughest part of Charles Leclerc's race today. Yeah. All right, we'll wait and see how that goes for him. But that is still 20 laps or so into the future. Also, just have to point out today's stream sponsor, Imperium Experiences. Go ahead and click the link in the description if you do want to sign up to it. It is a competition where you can win F1 tickets to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for this year. You get a stay in a 5-star hotel for 4 nights and £500 towards your flight to Abu Dhabi. So I would suggest that you guys check out the link in the pinned comment or in the description. Back to the race. Oh, how many laps can the hard compound tires complete on this lap? The hard tires can do 40 laps, also 45 laps at the max if you go really slowly and preserve them. So yeah, the Mercedes drivers should be fine to get to the end of the race. They're going to have to conserve the tires a bit, but they did that very well on the medium tires. So it should not be too big of an issue for them to do it on the hard tires. Yeah, and there we go. George Russell purple through the middle sector as well. The middle sector is where you can get all your tire temperature. If you go push through the middle sector, those tires get warmed up, and we've got George Russell and Lewis Hamilton both on a warm set of hard tires, looking to get to the end of the race. And Russell, in fact, sets our fastest lap of the race. That middle sector was absolutely, well, incredible. He goes half a second quicker than Hamilton just in the middle sector alone, and he's currently got the fastest lap of the race. We'll wait and see what he can do. Right, Gasly comes in for his second pit stop. He's onto the hard tires now, and he's also been lapped. All right, so I suspect most teams will be going for everyone actually, every single team except for Mercedes is going for a two-stop race. Mercedes trying to stretch it out for the one because they know they don't have the outright race pace or the ability to overtake on this circuit to try and stay ahead. So track position is important. Of course, in Monaco, it would be silly to do a two-stop strategy. Just drive as slow as possible and just block the other driver when they try to overtake you. That's the ideal strategy you do in Monaco. That's what Mercedes are trying to employ around this circuit here. And we'll wait and see how that goes for them. Also, guys, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please be sure to do so. And if you haven't hit the like button as well, that would very much be appreciated if you are enjoying the commentary. I am commentating for the next race in Monza next weekend. So, yeah, suggest you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. And, yeah. All right, Lewis Hamilton, well, gets back against George Russell and sets the fastest lap of the race by 8 milliseconds. He goes 8 milliseconds faster than George Russell's previous lap to get fastest lap away from him. That fastest lap will definitely tumble by the time we get to the end of the race. We're approaching now the halfway point of this Zandvoort Grand Prix. And yeah. How did the Mercedes have speed with the hard tires? Well, I suspect you could probably set up your car to have speed with the hard tires. And the other thing is, if you really warm them up, like one thing that I noticed, both Hamilton and Russell went extremely fast in the middle sector after they pitted for the hard tires. And the issue that you have with the hard tires, if you don't warm those tires up quickly enough, then you don't have enough tire temperature. And if you don't have enough tire temperature, you don't have enough grip, and you can't go fast again. And because you can't go fast, you don't have enough tire temperature. So it's just a never-ending cycle, and you have to nail that. You have to get that tire temperature built into those hard tires as soon as possible. And I guess the Mercedes just did that really well. So that's how they did that. Also, Hamilton right on the back of Sergio Perez, in fact. I don't know what happened there. The gap looked to be bigger before, but of course, Hamilton set that fastest lap of the race. Russell's, set another fastest lap of the race, and he goes 8 milliseconds faster than Hamilton now. So there we go. Interesting. But now Hamilton on the back of Sergio Perez. This is a battle to watch for sure. 6/10 is the gap right now, going through turn number 9 and 10. It's going to be pretty tough to stay behind. With all of the dirty air that's coming off that Red Bull. We've got Sergio Perez now coming down the straight. Hamilton's got the DRS. He's actually going side by side into turn number 10. Turn number 11 actually. But he decides to back out of it. There is no point trying to risk an overtake at that corner. He waits a couple more corners, goes through the final corner. Massive amounts of understeer there. I mean, Hamilton was turning the steering wheel so much, but the car would not grip up. And here he comes going down the start-finish straight now. 2/10 behind Sergio Perez. Perez deploying all of his battery. There's no light flashing at the back of his car. And Perez on the inside defending against Lewis Hamilton, who comes out ahead. It is Lewis Hamilton. He swoops around the outside of Sergio Perez. That banking really pushing him around. And then going through into turn number 3, the deal is sealed. And Hamilton is up into 3rd position. And now Perez will have to do his best to try and stay right on the back of Hamilton, maybe fight back. Perez looks to have so much pace. He's actually going for a move into turn number 7. That's a blind fast corner. He backs out of it. I mean, fair play to Sergio Perez for even trying to attempt that. But yeah, he slammed on those brakes to make sure he wouldn't have a crash with Lewis Hamilton. We know how Red Bull and Mercedes tend to get in a fair amount of incidents. And yeah, Perez lost all of his momentum. lost his rhythm through the middle sector, and the gap has extended up to 1.7 seconds. And now he's got George Russell all in his mirrors. So it'll be a matter of time before now George Russell will be chasing down chasing down Sergio Perez for the lead, well, for fourth position in this race. Okay, we've had a load of people pit. In fact, I missed this. So Bottas, Vettel, Schumacher, and Magnussen all have pit just now. Well, just recently, at least. And Bottas is on another set of medium tires. He's looking to go all the way to the end of the race on these mediums, 35 laps. That's going to be a tough ask there for the Finn. But of course, we know Bottas pretty good at tire management. And of course, once you get towards the end of the race, you've got less fuel in the car. So that means less tire wear. So that would be on his side when he's trying to stretch those tires out to the end of the Dutch Grand Prix. All right. Who's my favorite driver? My favorite driver is Sebastian Vettel. Yeah. Thomas Salvi doesn't say how much battery they're using, but it does say if they're recharging the battery or if they're not recharging the battery, because their light on the back of the car will be flashing. So if the light isn't flashing, they're deploying the battery because they're not charging it up. So yeah, there we go. We've got Guan Yu Zhou who's come into the pits as well. We've got now Russell right on the back of Sergio Perez going down the straight. He's got the slipstream, he's got the toe. He pulls out to the side, and this time Sergio Perez decides not to fight it. Russell gets past earlier in the straight, and Russell is through now into P4. Perez will do his utmost best to try and stay behind George Russell, but going through turn number 3, 4, and 5, it's going to be extremely tough. Yeah, and there we go. The gap extended out to 1 second. Yeah, new drinking game. If I say so, yeah, or and yeah, I definitely do say so, yeah, and yeah a lot. I mean, I think you'd pass out by the time you got to the end of the race. And you're starting now lap number 40. You'd definitely pass out, even so. So there we go. Russell, I mean not Russell. Lance Stroll has come into the pits. He's now out in P11. So actually, Stroll's has a good shot of scoring some points here because all the drivers ahead of him still yet to pit. Hamilton sets a fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 1 minute 15 point something. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but there we go. He's actually closing up to Charles Leclerc, and Leclerc is still yet to pit, so Hamilton could probably get second place here. And it could actually be a Mercedes 2-3 by the looks of it. If Leclerc Leclerc has to come into pit, otherwise he's not going to get to the end of the race. He will end up he'll end up behind George Russell after he pits. So yeah, I mean, we could see a Mercedes 2-3, and I mean, after this performance at Spa, we were not expecting that whatsoever. George Russell now with the fastest first sector, and the gap between himself and Hamilton 3.5 seconds, as it has been for the previous like 20 or so laps now. And yeah, Sainz, yeah, had a very disappointing indeed. He had pace at the start of the race. He obviously dropped off the back of Leclerc because he wasn't able to match Leclerc, but he was still able to hold off Lewis Hamilton. But then after that horrible pit stop from Ferrari, because the mechanics just weren't ready, he is now, well, he's lost. It's just been downhill from there, to be honest, for Carlos Sainz. And he's now in 6th position, and he's staying ahead of Lando Norris at least. But yeah, and that's not something that you should particularly be taking pride in, being a Ferrari driver when your teammate is up in 2nd place, 30 seconds up the road from you. Sergio Perez comes into the pits, the first of the front runners to come in for his 2nd pit stop. And we'll see where he comes out. He comes out behind Carlos Sainz, in fact. But of course, Sainz still yet to pit, so he will come out after. He'll come out behind Perez after he does inevitably pit. Why not pit Perez and put him onto hards? Well, I think you've just called that, because Perez has just now pitted and come out on hards. So I'm going to mess his name up really bad. Mandalike. Right, I've messed that up extremely badly. But you just called that. So I think Red Bull should hire you, to be honest. Or maybe Ferrari, because Ferrari need a strategist, But yeah, there we go. Perez now in 7th position. He's behind Lando Norris, in fact. Norris had the momentum going down the straight, of course, and the warmed up tires. So Norris ahead of Perez for now, and we'll see what Perez can do on those hard tires. Do you think Mercedes will only do 2 stops? Mercedes will only going to do 1 stop. Yeah. Mercedes, they've got 30 laps left to go now. And yeah, they're definitely gonna be able to stretch those hard tires towards the end of the race. All right. And also talking about when I said last year everyone got lapped, everyone except the top 3 got lapped. We're very much on the way to that happening. There wasn't a safety car last year. It was just pure green flag racing for the majority of the race. I think there might have been like a virtual safety car or maybe a yellow flag somewhere here or there, but it's just been green flag racing. No DNFs just as yet. And we've had 13 drivers. Well, we've had 7 drivers being lapped so far. And yeah, all the drivers still in the race, of course. I think there's only been 15 or so races in the entire history of Formula One without a DNF. And we could probably see another one of that occur. We've reached further than the halfway point, and the drivers, as you can see on the map, are relatively spread out. No one looking to, well, the chances of having a crash or anything are significantly lower when you're all spread out, and that could definitely go on to happen. Right, yeah, Mercedes will not be pitting again. Pirelli said you could do 45 laps on the hard tires, and by the time Lewis Hamilton gets to the end of the race, he will have done 43 laps on the hard tires. So within Pirelli's specification, and we know Lewis Hamilton could probably manage tires to like 50 or 60 laps, depending on if he was told that at the start of the stint, because yeah, very good at time management, Lewis Hamilton. And talking of time management, we've got the master himself, Sergio Perez, setting a fastest lap of the race, catching all the way up to Lando Norris. Doesn't make the overtake into turn number 1 though. And yeah, I don't exactly, it might have just been too far back, but Norris, I don't think he'll fight it too much because it's not in his best interest. Because if he does fight it too much, then Fernando Alonso will catch up to him, and that will not be helping the situation for the McLaren driver. We got Tsunoda and Albon coming into the pits on this lap. So now around about half the field have done their second pit stop, and will be coming, yeah. And then we've got the other half still yet to do it. Which team do I support? I support Aston Martin because Vettel's driving for Aston Martin. So yeah. Also, we are now around 28 laps away from the end of the race. Let me know who your driver of the day is. Would be great to hear what you guys think. I actually don't know who my driver of the day would be. I don't think anyone's had a particularly outstanding performance, to be honest. I mean, Stroll's done a good job keeping the Aston Martin in 10th because the Aston Martin doesn't have that much pace, to be honest. But yeah, the top 6, nothing extraordinary to look at least. We've got Carlos Sainz coming into the pits. So he is now down. He's dropped all the way down into 10th position after the pits. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. What has gone on track now? Let's have a look. Oh, Tsunoda has crashed. Or Tsunoda's crashed or has stopped on the side of the track, but we have a yellow flag out on the track now. If they can't get that car off the track quickly, then we will have to go to safety car. Let's have a look. This probably make the race a lot more exciting, and all the drivers that haven't pit yet, if there is a safety car, they're going to get a massive benefit out of it. So let's have a wait and see what the FIA decide to do. Tsunoda is parked up at the side of the road, but yeah, not. Of course, they want to get that car off the circuit as soon as possible, and I don't know if they're going to call a virtual safety car for that or not. Still, just yellow flags, and everyone is driving around. Oh, Tsunoda's back on track. Okay, so it wasn't an engine issue. He just spun around, and he's got back onto the track now. So yellow flags will probably turn back to green, and there shouldn't be too much. Yep, we're back to green flags, and there we go. All right. So yeah, just yellow flags, no DNFs just as yet, but Tsunoda's down into 20th position, and he's been lapped twice now. So not ideal there for Yuki Tsunoda. And he was in fact going through turn number 5, turn number 6. Turn number 5 and 6, there are a bit of an uphill corners, and of course, when you go uphill, you lose some grip, and I think that's what it was there for Yuki Tsunoda. Also, guys, we are quite close to hitting our subscriber goal of 44,000. So if you could go ahead and hit the subscribe button, that would be wonderful. And yeah, thank you for all the support, guys. We've nearly hit 1,000 likes. Well, we're 200 likes away, but we've got nearly 8,000 people watching. So I'm sure we could hit 1,000 likes if you guys wanted to. And yeah, also just have to point out today's stream sponsor is Imperium Experiences. They run a competition where if you guess correctly where a football is on an image, the football has been photoshopped out. You got to guess where it was before it was photoshopped out. And if you guess correctly, you win tickets to the 2022 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with a 4-night stay in a 5-star hotel and 500 tickets, £500 for flight tickets. So yeah, I suggest you go check out the competition. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. And yeah, thank you for Imperium Experiences for sponsoring this stream. We've got Charles Leclerc has come into the pits. Ferrari actually did a pretty good pit stop this time round. No mistakes there. But Russell now, Leclerc down into 4th position. And the only driver yet to pit now is Max Verstappen. But now, if we look at the pace gap between these two drivers, it's 14 seconds. So when Verstappen does inevitably pit, if Verstappen pits now, he's going to come out 6 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, and he will have fresh tires, of course. So it should not be an issue for Verstappen to get past Hamilton. But we know that because this circuit is narrow, Hamilton will put up a very tough defense indeed. And the same thing for George Russell, because if they can, the more time Russell delays Max Verstappen, the more his tires are going to wear out, the less battery he's going to have. And then going down, and then when Verstappen tries to overtake Lewis Hamilton, he's going to have no like tire wear left or anything to try and actually make an overtake. So it's in Mercedes' best interest to try and stay within the pit stop window of Max Verstappen and to try and, well, defend extremely hard, like so hard that you're going to lose like 5 seconds of time to try and keep Max Verstappen behind. And yeah, the gap between Max and Lewis, 14 seconds right now. Yeah, we've got another yellow flag, and Tsunoda has stopped once again, this time at turn number 4. I think he will get back going by the looks of it, but yeah, I mean, that's not normally a place where you crash. I mean, unless he's had an engine issue. But yeah, let's have a look. Tsunoda, we got a virtual safety car. All right. Virtual safety car. There we go. Let's just move that up a bit. That's fine. But we've got a virtual safety car while they take Yuki Tsunoda's car off track. So we are not going to break the record, we're not going to add to the record of no DNFs in a Formula One race because Yuki Tsunoda has stopped on track. He stopped pretty close to an escape road, so they'll be able to get a truck out and load the car up. But yeah, not great there. And also, everyone else is actually just going to come into the pits. I mean, if Verstappen doesn't pit now, I don't know what Red Bull strategy are actually thinking. But yeah, here we go. It's still virtual safety car conditions. We'll see what happens to Yuki Tsunoda. They're driving around at 60% of the usual speed. And Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, both into the pits. Yeah, so all of the drivers that stayed out and stuck out on those hard tires, gaining out a lot now. So Stroll originally was going to have pretty big benefit from the fact that he had a lot of pace on those medium tires for his middle stint. But now the virtual safety car has cancelled all of that out. Verstappen into the pits as well, as expected. All right, so there we go. That's really ruined. Well, actually, it's actually kind of worked in the Mercedes could also come into the pits. They could do a double stack. We know Mercedes are good at doing double stacks. There's 24 laps left. They could go on to another set of medium tires to the end of the race. And there they go. Hamilton's into the pits. Does George Russell come into the pits? Let's have a look. Yeah, Russell into the pits as well. Mercedes doing a double stack. They're going to come out on mediums. And then we're still in virtual safety car. There's no full safety car just as yet. But yeah, we will wait and see. All right. So here comes Max Verstappen. He's out of the pits. What tires is he on? Well, we know Hamilton's on a fresh set of medium tires. Max Verstappen, well, we'll find out soon enough. Did Yuki crash? I will find out for you in just a second. Um, Yeah, no, the AlphaTauri had an issue. It's not Yuki didn't crash. AlphaTauri's the car had an issue. Verstappen out on a set of hards. Very interesting. I mean, if we go to a full safety car, that's gonna play out to Verstappen's disadvantage. But we're currently still just under virtual safety car conditions, and Sonoda's car is off the map. So I suspect it's been loaded up onto the back of a truck and the engine's been turned off. So we'll just have a virtual safety car for a couple more laps. Um, and yeah, also, I think I said this a couple of laps ago, but since we're in virtual safety car conditions, I'll just tell you again. You could probably go check out the link right now. There is competition to win tickets to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Yeah, if you're interested, then I would suggest you go have a look. You get free tickets, free hotel stay, and free flights. Well, £500 towards your flight. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. And if there's only 100 people have entered, the odds of you winning are extremely high compared to the usual lottery. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. This could get interesting. Mediums versus hards, yes. But of course, the gap between the two drivers is 17 seconds. So yeah, there won't be too much battling when they're 17 seconds apart, of course. And yeah. All right. Also, if you guys remember, yes, last week's giveaway was won by Car H. That's what his name was registered as, Car, and then his second name was registered as H. So if you're watching today's stream, then you have won the LED F1 track. You can choose any track that you want, and you'll be emailed about it. And we're having another giveaway for the Italian Grand Prix. So yeah, go ahead and, well, if you didn't win it this weekend, you can win it next weekend. Well, if you didn't win it last weekend, you can win it this weekend. Yeah. Also, we are back to green flag racing. The virtual safety car is in. Yuki Tsunoda's car has been taken off safely. We're back to green flag racing now. Verstappen was slightly caught napping there when the virtual safety car came in. The timing wasn't exactly in his benefit. He was in the middle of a corner when it came in, but he lost, I think, 2 or so seconds to Lewis Hamilton when the virtual safety car restarted. So that is that. All right. We've got both Mercedes drivers on fresh sets of mediums. We could see George Russell try and challenge Lewis Hamilton. I'm gonna have a listen. I'm gonna have a look if we get any more team radios. But yeah, no team. We've got team radios from Yuki Tsunoda. In fact, let's have a listen to what he has to say. This is from his. When he crashed. Oh no, not when he crashed. When his car failed.
Deep is broken, I think.
Stop.
Yeah, so Yuki Tsunoda thinks the differential is broken. The differential, for you guys that don't know, basically the engine outputs a certain amount of power, and then in Formula One cars, all of the engine power goes to spin the rear two wheels, and the differential can choose whether, the differential can choose how the power is allocated, I think, between the two wheels, and it also controls if one wheel is allowed to spin faster than the other. Because if you think about, you're going through a corner, the wheel that's on the inside of the corner has a shorter distance to travel. The wheel on the outside has a longer distance to travel. So the different wheels will be rotating at slightly different speeds, and that's what the differential sort of sorts out. But yeah, that differential is broken according to Yuki Tsunoda, so that is why he is out of the race. He was 2 laps down, pitted for an issue, and didn't retire. Yeah. Okay, we got George Russell with a fastest lap, and he's closing up on Lewis Hamilton, in fact. So we could see a little inter-Mercedes rivalry. Actually, we had this last year. We had them come over the radio to Valtteri Bottas and be like, oh, don't set a fastest lap of the race. We want Lewis Hamilton to get the fastest lap. And then Bottas was like, I'll just set a fastest lap anyway. It wasn't that, actually. Bottas just got told too late in the lap to actually abort. So Bottas went and set a fastest lap of the race, and then Hamilton had to end up coming into the pits so he could get the fastest lap. But yeah, so that's what happened there. with the little inter-Mercedes team rivalry last year, sorry. And yeah. What happened to Tsunoda? He had a mechanical failure. We're not sure exactly what it is. Tsunoda thinks it was the differential. Oh, we got Fernando Alonso all over the back of Lando Norris. This is a bit of action that we haven't had in a while here. But Fernando Alonso sets the fastest lap of the race on a fresh set of soft tyres, 3 laps fresher than Lando Norris is. And, well, he's looking to apply a lot of pressure indeed. Carlos Sainz ahead of Lando Norris on he's on hard tires. So, I mean, we could see Fernando Alonso potentially even overtake Carlos Sainz. Ocon has done a great job. He's stayed out. He didn't come into the pits during the virtual safety car. Maybe he wasn't around the track at the correct section, or they're just trying to stay out and see what happens there. But yeah, nevertheless, Fernando Alonso now coming out the final corner, chasing down Lando Norris. He's got the DRS. He's got the slipstream. And he's not close enough, in fact. 3.5 tenths. He pulls out to the side. He gets close enough for that, but not close enough to make a move into turn number 1. So the drivers are still in the order as they were. Number 7 Sainz, number 8 Norris, and number 9 Fernando Alonso. Yeah, no overtake just as yet. We'll see what he can do on the next lap. All right, let's have a look at this. Oh, just something to point out how dominant Verstappen is. Verstappen is on the hot. Actually, I can't. My point has just been disproven by the fact that both Mercedes drivers are pushing extremely hard. So let's just talk about the Mercedes battle instead. Gap down to 2.5 seconds. It was 3.5 before, down to 2.5. And yeah, Russell really trying to chase down Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton set the fastest lap of the race. Russell immediately took that away from him as soon as he crossed the line. He went 14 milliseconds faster than Lewis Hamilton. So look at this. The pace that they've got is so equally matched. They both came in on a pit stop on the same lap. They both come out at the same lap. Both have the same tire warm up and everything. The tires are the same. The car's the exact same. And the gap between the two drivers is 14 milliseconds. I mean, this is such a good duo that we've got at Mercedes here. We'll wait and see if they end up being a championship challenging team maybe next year. This year it looks a bit off the cards, a bit too far down the championship. But yeah, let's see now. All right. So here they go. Hamilton now crosses the line. His lap time, a 1 minute 13.85. George Russell goes 1.5 tenths slower on this lap. So yeah, Russell looks like his tires overheated a bit, and hasn't managed them as well as Lewis. I mean, Lewis obviously has that more experience, so it's to be expected for him to be able to do that. And yeah, we'll see how that plays out for the two Mercedes. Further down the field, there really isn't that much action going on. We've got some more drivers. Well, we've got nearly half the field that's been lapped now. But yeah, still nothing. Still no one within close of overtaking. Actually, I say that. Oh, we got yellow flags. Valtteri Bottas is stuck on the exit of the pit lane. More yellow flags, I'm guessing. Right. More yellow flags. There we go. Valtteri Bottas is stuck at the exit of the pit lane. He didn't come in for a pit stop as far as I can tell. So he's just broke down going down the start finish straight. So there we go. Interesting. Right. Yeah, it's just yellow flags. Oh, why have I put virtual safety car out? That's my mistake, guys. It is yellow flag conditions, not virtual safety car. But Bottas is parked up somewhere. I think he's parked up at the exit of the pit lane, maybe. But yeah, his car's broken down as far as I can tell. Yeah, Bottas stops down the main straight. And yeah. All right, Sainz gets past Ocon as well. So nice job there from Carlos Sainz. Sainz getting ahead of Ocon. Ocon was on those hard tires for 36 laps, so it was to be expected. But now look at this. Ocon now holding up Lando Norris and holding up Fernando Alonso now. So it's basically a two-pronged attack from, oh, we've got full safety car. You'll love to see it. Why isn't Ocon coming into the pits? Ocon's on 30 lap old hard tires and he's not into the bits. All right. Well, I'm not the Alpine strategist, but we are in safety car conditions with 16 laps left to go of this race. All right. Also, guys, if we could hit maybe 1,200 likes, that would be wonderful. Also, while we are in safety car conditions, I'm just going to quickly show you how to sign up to the competition for Imperium experiences because there isn't going to be that much action going on track. I'm just going to show you now quickly. Verstappen comes into the pits. Does he stay out ahead of Lewis Hamilton? No, he does not. He comes out behind Lewis Hamilton, but ahead of George Russell by the looks of it. Yeah. But of course, Verstappen will be on a fresh set of soft tires, or at least a fairly fresh set of soft tires. Yeah, he's on 3-lap-old fresh tires, soft tires, and Hamilton's on 8-lap-old mediums. We'll wait and see how that plays out on the safety car restart. But currently, I'll just show you how to sign up for Imperium experiences. So this is their website. You just press the button that says "Click Me." You scroll down and you press "Open Game," and then this is where you guess where the football is. You look at where the person's looking, maybe, and guess where the football is going to be. And you scroll down to the basket and check out. And if you win, then you'll be contacted through the email that you used to sign up, and that'll be that. You get tickets to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I mean, what a dream that would be. So yeah, go ahead and check out the link in the pinned comment. But now back to the race. We've got the safety car out. We got George Russell, who comes out ahead of Max Verstappen. In fact, they had a bit of a tussle at the safety car line, but we've got George Russell ahead of Max Verstappen. I suspect race control had something to do with this. But everyone, look at this. Everyone's coming out into the soft tires. We've got a 15-lap sprint to the end of the race on soft tires. This will be exciting to see. Both Mercedes still out on the mediums, though. We don't know if that's a good strategy, if that's a bad strategy. But Verstappen will have a tough time overtaking both Mercedes. I mean, there will undoubtedly be team radio coming over to George Russell. Be like, defend against Verstappen as much as you possibly can, so at least Lewis can go out and win this race, and maybe you can get P2. Because we want to maximize the points as a constructor, of course. That's the aim of the team, at least. Drivers may have other things on their mind. And yeah, we'll wait and see how that plays out. But we are on lap number 57 of 72. We're under safety car conditions. And most drivers have come into the pits for a fresh set of soft tires. Sergio Perez on a fresh set of mediums. If you remember back to the start of the race, Hamilton's coming into the pits now, and so is George Russell. Mercedes doing 2 double stacks in. Why is Verstappen coming into the pits? Oh, they're coming into the pits because Bottas's car is stuck on the main straight. So, yeah. They're coming into the pits because Bottas's car is stuck on the main straight. That is why they're driving through the pit lane. Nothing to that's to be expected. We'll see if they let the unlapped cars We'll see if they let the lapped cars go through. But that will extend the amount of time that the drivers are on the safety car conditions. They still haven't recovered Bottas's car yet, and we'll wait. Still yet to see what's going to go on. All right. Is there a red flag? No, just safety car conditions. It says at the top of the screen. Yeah. The reason they're going through the pit lane is because I'm pretty sure there's a truck picking up Valtteri Bottas's car on the main straight. So it would be dangerous to have Formula One cars and trucks on the same piece of tarmac, and that's why they've decided to drive through the pit lane instead. All right. Let's see what else is there to talk about. So we've got let's just run through the tires that everyone is on. Everyone, except for Perez and Hamilton, are on soft tires. Some drivers have got much more worn out soft tires than others. But yeah, Hamilton and Perez are the only 2 drivers on the mediums. Everyone else is on the soft tires. So we'll see if these guys gain positions, lose positions, or hold positions at the start of the race. Start of the restart, sorry. And of course, you need to remember the restart will be two laps until DRS gets enabled at the restart. So yeah, that is that. There was a bit of an unsafe release there from, I think it was Carlos Sainz, compared when, yeah, he blocked Fernando Alonso coming out of the pit lane. So they'll be over the team radio for that. They have cleared up Bottas's car. The truck's no longer on the, well, they're going down the main straight, so I presume the truck's not in the way anymore. And yeah. Right, we are now 13 laps remaining of the race now. We'll have to wait and see what will happen. Are they going to let the lap drivers through? By the looks of it, they are. Latifi is now currently between Hamilton and Verstappen, unless that was the case before. They're letting the lap cars through. Yep, no, I can confirm they are letting the lap cars through. So we'll still be under safety car conditions for the next couple of laps. And then we will have probably maybe a 10-lap sprint towards the end of the race, which will be great to see. And that will also actually tell us if sprint races are actually good for racing, because, well, we know, because the thing is, we can say sprint races are good for racing because the teams like prepare, well, do sprint races actually help racing? That's the main thing, because we can have sprint races around like Austria and stuff, and because the racing around Austria is usually very good anyway, the sprint race just makes it more exciting. But does sprint race actually help racing in any way? Because around this circuit, let's be honest, the amount of overtakes we've had isn't particularly high. So if the sprint race can help that, the final 10 laps of racing, if there's loads of overtakes, then we know sprint races actually have an effect. Otherwise, otherwise they're not very useful. But yeah, there we go. All right. Oh, in fact, this is Abu Dhabi all over again. We got Verstappen behind Hamilton on soft tires. But of course, Hamilton's soft tires in Abu Dhabi are much more worn out. But yeah, nevertheless, here they are driving through on those tires on safety car conditions. We'll wait and see what will happen. All right. Bottas is still showing up on the GPS tracker, so I don't know exactly what's going on there, because usually the car gets switched off and the GPS tracker gets switched off as well, but we can still see Bottas's car. Yeah, there we go. Interesting. Oh, we got some team radio from George Russell, and I think safety car is also in this lap. I don't know why they would do safety car in this lap when all of the unlapped drivers haven't caught up to the pack. I guess they're going to be driving as fast as possible to get there. But right, we got George Russell team radio. He's currently in third position behind Verstappen. Oh, they switched round. They had some issues. They talked to race control and they said swap around. So let's have a listen to this.
Let's stop. Let's put the soft on. Wait, I'm losing the tyre. Let's put the soft on. Stop. Box.
Okay, this was just before they came into the pits. Yeah, there we go. All right. Also, guys, we're halfway. Well, we're like pretty close to our subscriber target. So if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. And yeah, if you haven't hit the like button as well, that would very much be appreciated. Yeah. Right. Let's have a look at the chat again. All right. Let's just change this to green flag because it is safety car in this lap now. So we will be going green flag racing. The lap cars have caught up to the back of the pack. And we've got Latifi. Oh, no, Latifi is still in 18th. Okay. He's just been unlapped once rather than unlapped twice. But nevertheless, here we go. Hamilton now going up into turn number 13 and 14. Toto Wolff not happy whatsoever about the fact that George Russell has to drop back behind Max Verstappen due to that safety car line thing with race control. But here we go. That's racing for you. And Verstappen side by side going into turn number 1 against Lewis Hamilton. And Verstappen into turn number 1. Does he get ahead of Hamilton? Yes, he does. Verstappen, great move on the safety car restart. Just pounced, stayed right with Hamilton. And Hamilton didn't catch him off guard. Verstappen was right on it. And he's back into the lead of this race. We got Sainz overtaking Sergio Perez. That's to be expected because Perez is on medium tires. And here we go then. We have now got 11 laps of racing. Valtteri Bottas back into the pits. So his GPS thing is just broken as far as you can tell. But yeah, there we go. All right, and the gap has already been extended to 1 second. And look at this, George Russell is closer to Hamilton than Hamilton is closer to Verstappen. So we're going to get, and this puts Leclerc and Sainz all back into the fight. We got Perez right on the tail of Sainz as well. Yeah, I mean, if DRS was activated right now, we'd have DRS from second position all the way down into 16th position. So that'd be a very long DRS train. But DRS hasn't been enabled just yet. It will be enabled next lap. And there we go. Also, we've got nearly 10,000 people watching. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. Definitely does help out the channel. And hopefully we can be top F1 commentary channel on YouTube. We're currently number 2. And yeah, we've got nearly half the viewers of the other person because I haven't streamed for a while. But anyway, back to the race. Verstappen with a fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 13.6. This pace is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how he does it. And then we got George Russell putting pressure on Lewis Hamilton. Of course, Russell's on the soft tyres, Hamilton is on the mediums. We'll see how feisty these two drivers are against each other, because it will be, well, it'll be very bad to see the two Mercedes drivers crash into each other like they did in Spain 2016. But I would also laugh if that did happen, because these two drivers are very respectful drivers. So we'll wait and see what happens there. We've got some team radio from Max Verstappen. I think this will be right after he overtakes Hamilton, so let's have a listen.
What mode?
You are fine in mode 7.
Yep, mode 7, by the way, for Red Bull power units means like maximum attack mode. So yeah, he's currently in mode 7, and he is another fastest lap of the race, and now 2 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton and Russell now. Let's have a look at the top speeds between the two drivers. Let's see. We've got top speeds. Verstappen's got the highest top speed. I suspect he got a bit of a slipstream against Lewis Hamilton down the straight on the safety car restart. But Hamilton and Russell's top speed are pretty much identical. Of course, Hamilton doesn't have the DRS this time, so the top speed difference should be around 10 or 12 kilometers an hour compared to his teammate. We'll see what happens down there. But yeah, DRS has been enabled on this lap. Russell now, once he goes through turn number 10 onto turn number 11, that straight, he'll get a bit of a DRS boost. The gap currently half a second as he goes down the straight. That's been reduced to 0.4 of a second. So he's gained a 10th just for driving with DRS against his teammate. And now he comes through turn number 11 and 12, holds that 0.4 gap. And you need to be around 0.4 behind the driver ahead of you if you want to make an overtake going down the next straight. And here goes then. Russell comes out the final corner. Lewis Hamilton just ahead of him. The toe is very powerful. He's side by side with Hamilton. Russell breezes past Hamilton. Now Hamilton does not fight it. He's got the medium tires, of course, Hamilton. It's going to be extremely tough for him to do anything whatsoever. And there we go. Russell up into P2, Hamilton into P3. We'll see if Hamilton can fight it back, but those medium tires will definitely not be helping. And next up will be Charles Leclerc now. He's going to try and overtake Lewis Hamilton. And if Russell can get out of DRS range for Hamilton, then that's not going to help him. But I suspect Mercedes will be like, keep Hamilton within DRS so he doesn't get overtaken by Leclerc. That would be the ideal strategy, but it's pretty difficult to coordinate this when drivers are flying around a track at 200 kilometers an hour. And yeah, what's wrong with, right. The map is not in sync with commentary. Yes, I apologize. It's because what I'm using to actually do the commentary is slightly out of sync with the map. It's just like a 10-second delay or so. But I hope it's all right with you guys. All right, Sergio Perez is 0.6 behind Carlos Sainz. We'll wait and see what he can do there. But Sainz has fell off the back of Leclerc, so still not being able to keep up with his teammate, even after the safety car restart. And yeah, all right. Leclerc, the fastest third sector as well. He's actually right on the back of Hamilton, going side by side into turn number 1. Can he make it past him? No, he cannot. Hamilton defends this one rather aggressively. Leclerc gets squeezed out while trying to go around the outside. And that is that for that attack, at least for this lap. There are still 7 laps remaining of this race. We'll wait and see what can be done. All right. Further down the field, there hasn't actually been much overtaking. It's pretty much just been what it was at the start of the safety car restart. So, yeah, maybe sprint races aren't the way to go to improve racing because even on tight, twisty circuits like this, you would think a sprint race would help overtaking, but unfortunately, it has not. Um, yeah. All right. So here they go now. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc once again. See, when Russell overtook Hamilton, he was 4 tenths away, 4 tenths behind Hamilton coming through the final corner. And now Hamilton and Leclerc are half a second. Now it's 4 tenths of a second, 2 tenths of a second. And here comes Charles Leclerc now. He's got the slipstream, got the DRS, gets past Lewis Hamilton on this occasion. And Hamilton has got nothing that he can do about it. So there we go. We've got Leclerc in P3, so it is for a Red Bull, then Mercedes, then Ferrari, then Mercedes, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, and then Red Bull. Yeah, rather confusing, but um, yeah. So now I think that's the third overtake after the safety car restart. There we go though. So Leclerc up into P3, so that is I think that might be like one of the younger podiums we got there. Verstappen, Russell, and Leclerc. All pretty young drivers. We might be one of the youngest podiums in the history of Formula One. I'm not sure. I think we had that before. I'm not sure what the youngest podium in Formula One was. To be exact, to be fair, but yeah, might be one of the youngest ones. All right. So let's see now. Sainz is dropping back, and Perez is actually catching up to him. But the issue is Perez has got medium tires, which means in the critical parts of the track, like turn number 11 and 12, where you need to stay very close behind, I think it's going to be very tough for him to do that. Oh, here comes Lando Norris going down the inside of Fernando Alonso. He doesn't actually make that overtake stick, Lando Norris. So we'll wait and see if he can do that. We've only got a couple more laps now. And yeah. What do you think in the chat being so chaotic for Max fans booing Lewis? Well, I mean, shouldn't particularly boo Lewis. Lewis, obviously the Mercedes car isn't that fast. Well, I mean, they're pretty close in terms of pace with the Ferrari. But of course, Lewis has been screwed over by the strategy a bit. He's on the medium tires, whereas everyone else is on the softs. So, yeah, that's probably why he's dropping back positions. Perez is definitely catching Sainz. We can see Perez going all over the curbs, actually, turning in earlier, getting on the throttle earlier, getting a bit of oversteer as well, coming out some corners to try and catch up to Carlos Sainz. But to no avail because the critical corners, you've got to stay behind the other driver. Turn number 11 and 12. And once you're on those medium tires, that gets extremely tough indeed. Right. Let's see. Lando Norris now. He was a much further back than he was on the previous lap when trying to overtake Fernando Alonso. So on this occasion, once again, behind Fernando Alonso, we've got 4 laps of racing left. So you could probably do 3 laps of charging up your battery. And then for the final lap, go full send attack. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens there. So the overtakes to look out for are Perez trying to overtake Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris trying to overtake Fernando Alonso. That is the current situation today. Well, for the final 4 laps of today's race. All right. Let's see. So going through the middle sector now, Lando Norris, in fact, following Fernando Alonso as closely as possible. He hit he hit one of those curbs a bit too sharply there in the middle sector. No damage, but yeah, definitely see Lando Norris is pushing as much as he physically can in that McLaren to try and catch up and get that 7th place spot off the Spaniard. There we go. Now lap number 69 of 72. Very nice indeed. Yeah. And now we got Sergio Perez at half a second behind Carlos Sainz. But of course, that is at the end of the straight rather than at the start of the straight. So he is not going to make any sort of overtake whatsoever. All right. Also, we're getting pretty close to our subscriber target. So if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. And if you haven't liked as well, hopefully you can hit 1,500 likes. That would very much help out the stream and the channel. We're streaming for next week as well in Monza. It'd be great to see your support there as well. Also, all 10,000 of you that are watching, thank you everyone for tuning in. I mean, my commentary hasn't been the best today, but yeah, very much do appreciate all of your support. It is absolutely wonderful. All right. Here we go now. We're coming to the end of lap number 69. It was a very nice lap indeed, but unfortunately all good things have to come to an end, and Max Verstappen is now onto lap number 70. And we've got Sergio Perez now on lap, closing up on the back of Carlos Sainz. It's actually the closest it's been, but still not close enough. It's so close yet so far. It's 1/10 of a second, 2/10 of a second before he actually gets through. And yeah, no, it's getting extremely tough, especially because Perez has got those medium tires. I mean, it should be benefiting him because Sainz's soft should be wearing out faster than his mediums. But yeah, we'll wait and see. There's only 2 laps left now, and yeah. So let's see. We've got Vettel overtaking Mick Schumacher. Nice, nice to see that. Yeah, I think that's the first overtake outside the top 10 we've actually seen after the safety car restart. So overtaking not been the best thing around this circuit. And yeah, we'll wait and see if that will change in the final 2 laps of this race. We've got Max Verstappen now coming onto the second to last lap of the race now. And yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Perez has dropped back behind Carlos Sainz. But in fact, in dropping back, he's now given Fernando Alonso an opportunity to attack him. It's now a 3-way battle for 6th position. Perez versus Alonso versus Norris with 2 laps left to go. Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna get. Oh, Stroll's actually quite close to Esteban Ocon, but he's gonna have to manage that through the entire middle sector, which is gonna be pretty tough, considering Stroll's tires are 17 laps old. Yeah, there we go now. So here comes now. It's going to be pretty. Fernando Alonso is going to have to manage this rather well if he's going to actually benefit from this. He's chasing down Sergio Perez, but then he's got Lando Norris chasing him down. So if he's not careful, then he could try and overtake Perez. Both of them go wide, and then Norris gets a switchback and gets a double overtake. So yeah, there we go. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But we have now Max Verstappen, who comes across the line, still on the final lap of the race now. We've got, yeah, Max Verstappen on the final lap of the race. But yeah, here we go now. Perez, Alonso, Norris, all closing in on each other. But yeah, nothing going on there. Oh, and also, I'd just like to say Perez didn't fall back against Carlos Sainz. Perez got pushed off the track by Carlos Sainz. So yeah, that's a correction from my side. And that's why he's actually in this battle against Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz was rather aggressive, squeezed him off the track, and that was that. So final lap of the race, we got Max Verstappen in first place, 4.5 seconds ahead of George Russell. Russell in third place behind Leclerc, ahead of Leclerc. Hamilton in fourth, Sainz fifth, Perez sixth, under pressure from Fernando Alonso, but unless Alonso gets a mega, some sort of mega launch off the final corner, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to actually get that overtake working, get that overtake to happen before the end of the race. But here comes Max Verstappen now, crosses the line, and he wins the Dutch Grand Prix, the second home win for him in a row. Great job there from Max Verstappen. Great win as well. Just dominated from the front, made the overtake when it counted on the safety car restart, and got through to win the race. We got George Russell in second place. Great job here. George Russell, in fact, keeps up his streak of top 6 finishes, except for the British Grand Prix this season. So amazing job there from George Russell. Leclerc gets third place. Nice job there from him. Don't think he could have done much more really with the pace that the Ferrari had. Hamilton down in fourth. those medium tires really compromising his strategy. Sainz is down. Sainz lost 3 positions. He must have spun or something at the end of the race. I mean, has that actually happened, or is that a glitch? I will confirm that. No. Sainz. Right. Well, I'll have to confirm that with like the actual thing, but I don't think Sainz ended up. Oh, Sainz actually dropped down. Sainz lost 3 positions. I guess that's just karma for you. Sainz was in 5th position and is down into 8th because I think he spun or something. But yeah, Sainz is down 3 positions. It's not a glitch. I can confirm. Sainz is actually in 8th. So yeah, 5-second time penalty. So that's what happened there. All right. And then we have Fernando Alonso in 6th, Lando Norris in 7th, Sainz in 8th, Esteban Ocon in 9th, Stroll in 10th, and then we've got the rest of the field below that. Gasly, Albon, Schumacher, Vettel, Magnussen, Zhou, Ricciardo, Latifi, and then we've got Bottas and Tsunoda as our DNFs. Yeah. Also, I'm just going to quickly show you how to sign up to the Imperium Experiences thing just for the final time. The link is in the description or in the pinned chat comment. So go ahead and check that out. And yeah, I'll just show you now. So you go onto the Imperium Experiences website. There's a button that says "Click Me." You just click that. You scroll down to open game, and you select where you think the football is in that image. And then you save, and you go to the checkout, and you have a chance of winning the tickets to an Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as well, the 2022 one. So yeah, if you haven't been to a Formula One race, this might be a way to get through into a Formula One race on the cheap. The Dutch fans have released all of the flares, all of the orange dust is flying around. And yeah, that is it. Max Verstappen takes his home win for the second race, for the second year in a row. Yeah, what a Grand Prix. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've got 6,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Science had an unsafe release. That's what it was. Okay, so 5-second penalty for the unsafe release. Sorry for not picking up on that because I wasn't watching the FIA race control thing. So there we go. All right. I will be commentating for the race in Monza, so make sure to tune into that. I'll be doing qualifying and the race. So go ahead and tune in. And if you've enjoyed today's race and you haven't subscribed yet, then go ahead and subscribe. And if you could hit 1,500 likes, we're only 61 likes away. That would be great as well. Right. That's today's stream. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and everyone that said thank you F1 Gamer in the chat. Very much appreciated. And yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. I hope you have a nice morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you next week. Cheers, fellas.